Welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub. And today I'm a trip recovery boy.
A trip? What trip?
We went up to Monterey to see some family of Dan's and also celebrate our 6th anniversary.
Woohoo.
So when you say we, you mean you and your husband?
Yes, me and Dan.
Not
the podcast, the royal we.
I had a great time. I really enjoyed myself up there.
Well, my name is Michael. I'm a chaser, and I was a little bit of a trip boy. I went down to see my little sister and her husband, and more importantly, their cats, Maggie and Luna, and I got to spend some time with them. And if you follow me on Instagram, you may have even seen the update, which was that Maggie was a snuggle bug. So there you go.
That's a very important update.
It's a very important. I actually had people write me and thank me for posting it. So there you go.
Hey, my name is Don Marshall. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood, and today I am a artificially broke boy. I have managed to buy a car, so I am once again wheeled, but my bank made a banking error and drained my entire bank account. So I have to survive to October 6th on $17.
Oh my God.
Left.
What, and they're just and they're good with that, I'm sure.
No, they opened up an investigation ticket on their mistake.
Oh, well, good for them.
Even though I have all the evidence right in front of me and I'm able to lay it all out for them and show it to them. But they assured me that they'll be able to have it all resolved by October 6th.
Break out those credit cards.
Yeah.
Oh, and they escalated it, so they think they might be able to get me some advanced credit by October 4th.
Oh, how generous. 2 whole days.
And they'll hardly charge you any interest on that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh my God. All right. Well, my name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And I am the other half of the Trevor and Dan road trip show. We went to Monterey to see my family. I am very blessed to have a wonderful family.
Well,
So here we are.
yeah, we're here.
We're
queer. And we got some Patreon updates.
Hell
Woohoo.
yeah.
Yesterday, we released our little sandwich mini-sode,
Ooh.
which is exciting.
It's delicious.
You may have seen the censored sandwiches
Yes.
on social media. But if you subscribe to Patreon, you see all that
All that
uncensored
unfiltered
goodness.
sandwich sauciness.
that meat.
There's pork.
Yeah, there's pork
Extra pork and juiciness.
You can
Juicy.
see the drippings.
and recipes.
I feel really uncomfortable with this conversation, and I don't know why.
Or do you feel extremely comfortable?
Don't you judge me.
It's not just the sandwiches that are wet.
It was, oh God. Okay. It was a lot of fun anyway, the sandwich episode. And we also have an upcoming episode with me and Don and Trevor talking about role-playing characters and body diversity in role-playing games.
Yes.
Which is a Patreon mini-sode as well. So if you want, go and support us there. Check us out. We use the money to pay the editor of the show, which at this point is just me. So
Yeah.
so there you go.
And he's worth it, people. He's really worth it.
Yeah. What else we got? We also have a live Zoom spectacular self-help spectacular.
The Zoom spectacular is
It's
for
for everybody.
everyone.
Yes, that's not a Patreon
everyone,
thing.
not Patreon. The recording will live on Patreon. You know,
You need to go back
but
and check it out.
our self-care and share is what we're calling it.
Sunday, October 9th.
Sunday.
At 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Standard? 12 noon Sunday, October 9th.
Yeah.
Whatever fucking time
Pacific,
that is.
Pacific Daylight Time.
Pacific time.
Yes,
Say
Pacific.
time.
That's fine.
And then hopefully that gives us a good spread across the globe for that to be an accessible time period for most people. We're going to be sharing self-help tips. You guys are also welcome to share self-help tips as well. It's a roundtable discussion.
It's a call. You can
Or
be on the
if
call.
Just join the call.
Little coffee, a little talk.
bring your tips. Do some show and tell with your favorite products. Bring a question. Bring a concern.
Yeah.
Be like, I got,
There will be a show and tell
I got
section.
moob sweat. What do I do about? What do y'all do about moob sweat? And
or
I might
underbelly
not
rash.
I might not have the answer, but maybe someone else does, or we can, figure it out
Michael.
together.
I don't have an answer, but I'd love to hear the answer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Tune in and find out.
Yeah. October 9th, Sunday. Be there or don't, because we can't tell you what to do.
Oh, yes, we can.
Is this where you rise up and
Yes.
command?
Sorry.
That's
Anyway.
that's another joke.
Yeah, that's
Into
that's
the-
for us.
It's an inside joke that you guys don't get. So,
Which is great for a podcast.
great podcasting there, everybody. All right, let's get into it.
Yes.
We have a show starting with the one and only, the beloved Miss Lizzo. She
God,
is kicking ass and taking names once again.
And fashion, a moment, icons. So that, I talked about how the VMA dress poof moment was not my favorite Lizzo.
The black dress.
It's the black dress. But this dress.
This is like the black dress's sexy older sister.
Yes.
Anyway, Lizzo looking fabulous in a giant, floofy, red, flowing,
so gorgeous.
semi-sheer, just beautiful, beautiful dress, winning an Emmy.
Yeah.
And she is now
that's
halfway to her EGOT,
Yes.
which we're all very excited about. If you don't know, it's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. All of the sort of the big four.
She's the egg.
American awards.
She's got
egg and
the
the
egg.
EGOT.
She got the egg and
She just
EGOT.
needs to get the ot down.
But that's not all. She had one of the most amazing acceptance speeches. I mean, in true Lizzo fashion, just like high energy, super positive. We're going to play a little clip for
Yes.
you here.
When I was a little girl, all I wanted to see was me in the media. Someone fat like me, black like me, beautiful like me. If I could go back and tell little Lizzo something, I'd be like, you gonna see that person, but bitch, it's gonna have to be you. Where are my big girls? Are they here? Come! Come! 1 year ago, these women were filming this television show that would change their lives forever. They are Emmy award-winning superstars who are going on a world tour. Make some noise for my big girls. I love you guys so much. Daddy, I love you. Oh my God. God bless y'all. This is for the big girls. L-I-C-C-O-P-I-G-G-I-L-S. We the best. Hey, thank you so much.
Chills. It's in my, well, you guys got to hear it. And the listeners, it just was in my head now.
That's where it lives.
I heard it. I'd also like to point out Harvey Guillen, whom we've talked about on the podcast, one of the stars of What We Do in the Shadows, was also not only at the Emmys, but he got a lot of shout outs for his outfit, which was amazing. Let me just read what he posted on his, I guess, Instagram. He said, I didn't expect to be on so many best dressed lists. But with a designer like Dee Velasco, I shouldn't be surprised. So talented and wonderful. The inspiration was 1930s glam and Mexican mariachi vibes. And my dynamic glam duo, and he mentions two people. And he was just a fabulous, really so a fitted, kind of a bolero, again, mariachi jacket, just glorious.
He's really come along.
Also, so another moment from the Grammys, Jennifer Coolidge.
I just love
They tried
her.
to play her off. And she just started. She's like, wait, and then she just started dancing to the music.
That they're trying to play her off with.
Did a cane come out from the side of the stage? To pull her off?
I think they would have tried that.
Moving along in pop culture, NPR had a feature featuring comic artist James Dylan Beck, who I featured several times on our Instagram, but a comic book with fat black gay heroes called Black Vans, written by Alex Smith. So it's Alex Smith and James Dylan Beck, and Black Vans is a like Afro-futuristic.
The term they use is Afro-punk. Right?
Afro-punk.
Yes, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Well, and I got confused because James Dylan Beck, the artist, describes his style as chunk wave.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah, which is
Chunk
kind of
wave.
this, fat-centric cyberpunk kind of 80s cyberwave meets like 90s tech, like Game Boy, Walkman, everything
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
I can see that.
Very cool, but it's a great interview.
And you get to see a lot of the art from the comic,
Yes.
too.
They were trying to fund additional issues on Kickstarter, which they successfully did. and exceeded their goal by
A good bit.
like 1,000 something.
A few thousand, I think. Yeah, they're well on their way to making the follow up. The main character is actually fat, like not like a bearish husky, but like a fat black man.
Well, the authors very much identify with the bear community.
Yeah,
They do.
But what I really love about this is that the storyline is that the superheroes have mysteriously disappeared, and now their ground support is picking up the slack, solving the mystery, doing the deeds, and so it's a lot of really fat nerds.
Being the heroes.
Yeah, being the fat nerds as heroes.
So the villain is also fat, and they talk about kind of like leaning into the fat villain trope, but also, Alex and James are both chasers. So like he's fat and he's a villain, but like the fatness isn't a negative thing. It is just what he is. And also he's hot, but then taking inspiration from the list of the villain inspiration is like the most garbage person, horrible list.
Oh, you mean like all the fat people who are villains in all the movies ever?
No, I mean, it's like Rush Limbaugh, Donald Trump, Alex Scarelli.
Their inspirations.
Yeah.
So the villain Gordon Gale looks to me like the bigger city guy, like the mascot, the blonde guy.
Who
looks
has a
a
name,
lot
but
like
we
him. Yeah.
we've discussed. I don't know if we actually found out his name or we just discussed it.
I don't think we ever found out his name, but he looks like that guy. If he just or maybe like that guy's like sulky younger brother.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. There we
Yeah, like because the bigger city guy's so happy and joyful and prancing, and this guy's just like, he's got like eyeliner. He looks like really sort of like,
go. Depressed goth supervillain.
yeah, he's like a
fat.
little fatter and a little angrier.
I love this. I love all this so much because, like, when I was a kid, I remember the first time I saw a fat character in a comic book I was reading that wasn't a villain.
Who was it?
It was a character named Sponge. She had the ability to absorb moisture from the air over time. So she literally retained water. She kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she could emit all of the water she'd absorbed in one blast and become skinny again.
Interesting.
That was it. But like up until that point, it was only the Blob, right?
Oh,
So
God. Yeah.
Oh God.
I can't even conceive what it would have been like for me to be a little comic book fan, which I was, and see a character that looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
I never had that experience when I was young.
Not only looks like you, but is also gay.
Yeah.
Like that. There's a lot of layers to this.
There's a lot of things I am very jealous of for today's youth, like
It's like there's so many layers and they're all wonderful layers.
yeah.
So it's like a bacon wrapped date, and then there's like maybe a little goat cheese inside, and then on top of that, like maybe like a Marcona almond.
And we're back to the
You get some
sandwich
crunch.
episode.
Ooh, so I was thinking that maybe the next food episode we do could be breakfast food.
Oh, I was thinking appetizers.
Oh, appetizers.
Boys,
what
boys,
about
boys.
Breakfast
What-
appetizers.
okay, we can line up the next few.
Come back to the tent.
Then Michael's like, we got it, guys. We got to stay on track today. But then it's like,
And then immediately
get
we
to-
start talking
Yeah.
about food, and
He's
I'm
off to the races.
track.
Well, that's important, Michael. These are the important conversations that live in our hearts and probably the cutting room floor.
Well, I'm going to segue and we're going to keep it. Speaking of food and fueling up and getting your calories in for
Wow.
a workout.
Ah.
Yeah. Scooty. Hear me, feel me.
He's going to do a superhero landing.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the room.
The little arm from the chair is going to like go down into the ground. There was a point this weekend I was like, man, Scooty, find me, save me. Martinus Evans, who, aka 300 pounds and running, who we have featured before, I think, in Fat Watch. He's a new Fat Watch Hall of Famer.
But this
Yes,
this
he
is
was
a whole other level.
featured in Men's Health.
Dun, dun, dun.
Men's Health.
Not known for its highlight of fat people.
No.
It's where toxic masculinity goes to meet like men confused about their sexuality.
Every closeted gay man I have ever been with has a copy of Men's Fitness next to the bed.
Yeah, because they give pointers on how to be more ripped, how to be more cut. Isn't it great that you're dehydrated and underweight?
Yeah.
Yes. But, okay. So
But here we are in Men's Health.
Yes.
Yes.
Martinus Evans featured not only has a full article, basically an interview that he did. Not really written by Keith Nelson of Men's Health, sort of, I guess, put into the magazine by Keith, because it's all in Martinus's words.
Yes.
Not only the article about his journey from, from being, a chunky kid who was always been made fun of for being fat and kind of finding his value in sports, but then still not really being accepted because of his size, and his whole journey, he has a fully nude, leaping, full photo.
It is balletic.
Which explains why I've seen this particular magazine on every chaser's nightstand now.
Well, this particular issue.
From now on.
It's unapologetic, unabashed, and so, because he talks about once he started getting successful and he started his website and was doing a live stream of running on a treadmill for a particular length of time because he does marathons. It's kind of the big thing he does. At one point he was getting sort of really sweaty and kind of overworked. And so he took his shirt off on the live stream, and people who had tuned in to watch him were yelling at him, telling him to put his shirt back on. And so I think, he's the kind of person who kind of takes that and it fuels him, and he gets to kind of use that to keep moving and keep going stronger. But that, I think, this is the ultimate payoff for that, of him leaping through the pages of Men's Health saying
Nude.
Nude.
I would love to be able to get some of that energy. Whatever he's got going on, that would be a nice thing to channel from time to time.
Hence why he is the Fat Watch person of the week.
Pick of the week.
I'm just I love, I don't know. So he talks about going to a doctor for hip pain, and the doctor being like, well, you're fat. Of course you have pain.
Lose some weight, fatty.
Yeah, it's not the marathons you've been running. It's because you're fat.
Well, no, it was before he started running. And then when he talked about running, his doctor's like, you're going to have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, it's this whole double standard of you should definitely exercise more. Oh my God, you're exercising. You're going to drop dead.
Right.
It's almost I feel I don't know, a Stephen King thing where I feel the doctor's going to pick up his copy of Men's Health and then see the picture and have a heart attack because he's like, no, this is what the fortune teller warned me about. And then the doctor's gonna be the one who dies. And then we pan out from the doctor's office.
Shouldn't there be a mechanical fortune teller involved in this story?
Yeah. Okay.
Just
That's the fortune teller.
That's the fortune teller.
You haven't seen that scene yet.
Okay. Sorry.
So Martinus wraps up his article by saying, when somebody says, oh, I can't do this, or I need to lose weight first, someone will say, oh, you haven't heard about the 300-pound runner. To other people, my weight and my body are tied to my identity. But for me, my identity is more tied to running and providing joy and inspiration to people who've been told they can't do it. I give them all the reasons why they can. And that is why Fat Watch. That why Fat Watch.
Yeah, that why Fat Watch.
I was doing so well reading and then just fumbled it on the 1 yard line. That Fat Watch why.
Did not stick
good.
the landing.
No, Michael, me like words too.
That's the ending. The fortune teller machine spits out a little card that says that why Fat Watch.
Okay. It's done.
I
Well,
think that's the title of this
we've made
episode.
That why Fat Watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
since we're talking about Fat Watch and things leaping through the pages of Men's Health and victories, we're going to talk about victories and not victories, and not Fat Watch.
Not Fat Watch.
So Gianluca Russo, who we've talked about before, contributor to Nylon, always talking about plus size fashion, fat fashion, fashion.
Vis-a-vis his book.
Yes, The Power of Plus, but also Nylon magazine. I mean,
Yeah.
doing a lot of the Lord's work in terms of fat coverage in the fashion world. Gianluca was talking about how this year at New York Fashion Week, body diversity just kind of disappeared. Like
It was
Thanos
out of
snapped.
fashion.
Yeah, because he was so proud of them for having done it last year, but then he's like, okay, well, where is it this year? And their response was, well, we did it last year.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the fashion industry. They basically turned around and said, done that.
We've done that. What's the
Been
news?
there.
What's the news about plus size fashion? I'm like, because it's everywhere now, and why should we do it again?
Dexter
No,
Mayfield
it's-
was so 2019.
Plus side fashion is now locked into the 1 year that it was focused on.
Yeah.
It may never again evolve.
This year, it's about that 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot.
You mean the models?
Yeah. Yes. But so it was this. It made me think about this thing of like, we have wins, we have all these wins, and then like it just pumps you up. You feel amplified, and you're okay. We have a win, but where do we go from here? And then also the same side of like, when you have a loss, you kind of have that same thing of like, well, what now? Like, what do we do? Like,
Right.
how do we? What happens with Fashion Week now that like we had this win, and they're actually that's not a thing we want to do. We want to go back to what's safe, what's easy. We want to sell to the people we know will buy our clothes.
Well, we did that last year, so we can't claim to be groundbreaking anymore. We would just be of service to people, and that's of no use to anyone.
Well,
right?
I mean, what's the point of producing clothes for fat people if the world isn't universally applauding you for doing it?
yes.
there you go.
You know?
There you go.
When doing these things, we're like trying to keep it positive because it's very easy to when like I think if you have a win or a loss to be like, well, like what the fuck now? Like I don't
And
like,
we're
how are we like how do we recover from this? Or like, well, like we're never going to be able to get more than we already got.
Yeah, and we're seeing this all over in not just plus size fashion, but in racism, in gender issues, where there seems to be steps forward, but then wait, weren't we here 40 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's sort of our world right now. We're arguing over things that were settled in the 1950s, and
Or so we thought.
you know.
Yeah. So on a smaller scale, because we were sort of trying to think of some, I don't know, just examples of a step forward, a step backward. What does that feel like? What does it look like? And on a smaller scale, my partner Michael has gotten actually 2 jobs this year because he started a job, it wasn't a great fit, and so we got a different job. And in both cases, he's a financial analyst and works in corporate culture, and they have like welcome packages to whatever company it is. So when you first get hired, they're like, oh, you have this. It's like, mugs and things. But they always have T-shirts.
Yes.
And you have to sort of fill out what size shirt do you want? And, it sucks when you're excited about a new job and you're trying to get into it and you're trying to sort of make yourself fit in. And, the shirt goes up to 1X, maybe 2X. I think at the recent job he just got, which he actually quite likes, they went up to 3X, which was a stretch.
That's downright progressive.
Yeah, that was a stretch from, I think the previous job, I think was 1X. And that was just like, it was just like, you may as well just give this to somebody else. Like, it's not going to work.
I've been in situations where like I volunteered for like film festivals or I had a job in college where I had to wear a uniform at a place. And to basically force people to wear a uniform and then not supply the clothes that fit, like that's a factor of life for so many of us, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that working at McDonald's when I was like a teenager. And I had never thought about that yet, but what do you do? Like, because they give you a shirt.
Yep. Here's a shirt.
What if that shirt doesn't
someone
fit?
else will wear because you can't.
Actually, I'm curious if McDonald's has wider.
I've seen some very large McDonald's employees.
That is one of the things that has gotten better. Like even like what Trevor's talking about, like I can be grouchy about it being, going up to 3X, but 3X is an improvement. Like,
yes.
Let's embrace that. That is an improvement to the lives of many people in our community, just not all of us. You know?
And it was actually an improvement from the previous 2 jobs he'd had. So, whether or not it's the company themselves or whatever, that is, and he does not wear a 3X, but he was able to actually get the shirt on, which is, that's a step above.
Yeah.
1X is not doing that.
I'm imagining it's a crop top moment.
It wasn't as tight as that, but certainly like it's not going to work.
I was going to say, can he wear it on the Zoom calls?
No. And I don't think anybody does. Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, like, can we just get a little better about that? It's just a graphic tee.
And I mean,
not
I
like
think
a fancy shirt.
I think like, okay, so how do we go from here would be like bringing it up and like acknowledging like, I mean, as we've talked about on the podcast, we don't have shirts for the podcast because it is extremely difficult to get custom printed stuff in a wide range of sizes.
Yeah, we also, as in talking about that, we decided that if we couldn't accommodate the range of sizes that we know our listeners would want, just the people that we know.
We
range
just
of
didn't want
sizes-
to exclude our own fans.
Well, the range of sizes in this room, people.
Yeah.
In this room, we couldn't accommodate.
Yeah. So, and it felt better to just not Michael did actually say something to both companies that, these shirt sizes are not diverse enough.
Yeah.
I don't know that they did anything about it. I don't think so. But
Well, I would argue that, and here's an opportunity because, Trevor, the inspiration for this topic is, what do you do when you feel like you take one step forward and two steps back, or one step forward and one step back, and you feel like you're running in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is trying just change the paradigm you're in. Like this whole idea of giving t-shirts. Okay, but what if you actually got to know the person you're hiring to the extent that you knew if just giving a t-shirt is appropriate? And maybe you want to give something else, that you would feel so much more welcome if there was just one thing. Just one thing. It doesn't have to be a haul in a gift basket, but just maybe one thing that the person would like because you took the time.
What else? Who else has an example of a step forward or a step backwards?
I mean, so The Whale, which we're not going to get into early.
Yeah.
December, we'll probably talk about it in December because that's when it's actually coming out.
Oh, God.
But just the notion of that, and it's just been so, I've been trying to avoid it, but it's just so in fat world right now. And everything about that is, to me, feels like a step back. I mean, Brendan Fraser, he's back. We love to see him back. Maybe not for this.
Yeah.
Maybe if Batgirl had actually gotten to come out, which there's actually
Was he in that?
Not anymore.
No one's in it.
To me, it's like I said this, I think, when we first talked about it. Oh my God, there's fat gay representation, and then the monkey's paw finger curls, and
Careful what you wish for.
it's like this thing of what do I even do? Because it's this thing of this is going to be so many people's only experience of meeting a very fat gay person, and what is it like to be really fat and gay?
Right.
And they will only have this as their experience of
And
even being
Yeah.
oh wow, really fat people can be gay, and it must be even worse than
the problem, one of the many problems, is that this is a Darren Aronofsky movie. He has a reputation as a high prestige filmmaker. He's won Oscars. He's done these really high profile movies with really high profile actors. He's a very serious filmmaker. And so people are going to look at this movie and take it very seriously. And they're going to think that this is a big, bold statement.
Did you hear that Darren Aronofsky made a documentary about gay fat people?
Well, I think that's sort of your steps, because what I'm synthesizing here is that it's not the same ground being covered, right? Because if this movie had been made in the 70s, it would be a comedy. Or and he certainly wouldn't have been gay, because that would have been verboten. So it's not like we're retracing the same steps or doing the same thing over again.
Yeah.
It's sort of like with greater exposure come different problems, or maybe even greater problems. And like you said, Michael, you've got a major studio, a major director, and a major star doing this movie. And the problem is they think they're being sensitive.
Yeah.
Believe me, that's never happened before.
But it's when it's one of
Yeah, I
those
guess that's
so
true.
few representations on the big screen.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
excusing it. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that with with great power comes great responsibility. With greater
Yeah.
exposure comes new problems.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and so looking at what the fuck do we do about this? So also what something else to do is, instead of seeing the one movie that I don't want to keep talking about, Guy Branum is in Bros as
Yes.
the kind of gay best friend character in the gay romantic comedy, and that is a real portrayal of a fat gay person in a movie that is not really, because they're I don't know, there's a lot going on.
Well, and it should also be said that Guy Branum makes his living as a fat gay person,
yes,
whereas Brendan Fraser does not.
What? What?
and
I would say at least Brendan Fraser is fat. Now.
Yeah, but he's not that fat, and they put him in a fat suit and blah blah blah.
No,
blah,
they
blah. And we're off to the
definitely-
races again.
Yeah, but it's I feel like it's different
But
from
he is one of
fucking
the
Jared
bigger
Leto.
people.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's not a Jared Leto thing.
But Brendan Fraser is actually now a legitimately large person in
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
small casting pool.
which I don't know. We will do a deeper dive.
That's a different story.
into
The Whale.
that. But you can be representation of being fat, being gay, and being out there and being loud, and just being what you want to see, kind of like Lizzo talking about like not having representation.
It's gonna have to be you.
Yeah. So we just got to get out there. We got to be fat.
Keep on keeping on.
We got to be gay.
Well, and I think also every
Damn it, Trevor, you're not gay enough. Sorry. Dan.
I think every generation remakes its world. You see this in language all the time, right? You don't learn language from your parents. You create it with your peer group.
If I have a hard time talking with 16-year-olds now, because
Because that's what happens with language, and it happens with culture, and to a certain extent, it happens with civil rights. It's not that we got them and now we're done, or we got this and now it's done, as we have seen very, very graphically. But it's not that it's a constant visual or constant fight. It's that it is constantly being reinvented. And something that I keep going back to is like, okay, it's the same, but what's different now? Because I promise you something is different about it than it was, let's say, 30 years ago or 50 years ago.
Sure.
I mean, also, I think just like an example of being out there and being fat and being gay and being all the things that we want to be is Club Chub.
Oh,
which
yeah.
It's San Francisco, New York,
Los
LA,
Angeles, yeah.
I think also Miami.
And that's a really good example of what I was just talking about, because Chub Chaser events used to be all the rage, many, many years ago. And then they vanished with the advent of internet dating. But now they're coming back. Are they the same? No, they're a whole lot better. They're a whole lot more relevant. They're a whole lot hipper, because they were always sort of like in the shadows and kind of sorry. But now they're just so much more vibrant. And I mean, yes. So yeah, it is something from the past, but it's just so much more improved. Why? Because it's made for this generation.
The next LA Club Chub the theme is like, it's a big boy caftan party. It's a whole lot of fabric.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've been thinking, I don't have a caftan. But if I can get one,
that
goes with
the
my
first thing that
turban.
crossed my mind is like, where do you get a caftan? I have no idea.
At the Caftaneria.
Do you know that meme where it's like, I never thought ghosts were real, and it's like and then Trevor walks past the camera in a caftan.
Yes.
So this may be a bit of a tangent, but I think one thing that I feel has improved, and feel free to disagree with me, is the way food is being pushed at certain types of diet food are being crammed down the throats of people. So like I remember when Olestra came out, right? Like they started putting this artificial fat in everything that your body couldn't absorb. That caused
you lost weight because you shit your brains out.
It literally had to have warnings on the packages saying may cause anal leakage, right?
Yeah.
And that was because that existed, and because that was supposed to lower the fat content of food. I always felt like that was being shoved at me. Like, if you're going to have potato chips, you should have the ones with the Olestra in it.
You should have the ones that give you diarrhea.
Or like, and I know they still make these cookies, but I don't see them advertised constantly anymore. But the Snackwell cookies, we're like, oh, we're not going to put butter in them, but we're going to put 7 times the sugar, and we're going to market it as low fat.
Right.
I feel like the trend in diet foods has drifted more towards whole foods, towards foods that are.
This is brilliant. Yes, you're absolutely right.
So while you're still having diets shoved down your throats, but at least the food they're encouraging you to eat is actually food.
Okay, so this is exactly what I'm
It's
talking
not a
about.
food substitute.
So, old problem, we're still getting diet foods. We're still getting good food, bad food. What's new? We are having 4th graders keeping food diaries so they can study healthy eating. And they're being encouraged to keep food diaries, and they're doing this lesson on health and healthy eating, and that's part of the curriculum in some places. And it's like, oh my God, this is more insidious.
Yes. You sent me that thing that I was going to share. It was this mom, and she was saying, my 4th grader had to do like this food diary project about, and like this project about healthy eating.
Yeah, they had to do a project where they're basically creating some sort of presentation about healthy eating that everyone's going to do in the classroom. All right. And so the kid comes home, and the mom is like tearing her hair out like, crap. Like, this is the last thing I want my child exposed to. But what she and her, I don't know if it was a son or daughter, the child turned it into, was that they would do something on how healthy eating is, how all food has value, no food is evil, and just talking about food, having context, what it was for, cultural celebrations, and just sort of a big, wide celebration of food as their project for quote unquote healthy eating.
I mean, that's
Genius.
That's very woke.
Genius.
Yeah. I mean, that's how, like, I think a really good example of like creating a positive solution to a nightmare problem, especially just like for your kid. Cause
I have a small example of a cool little tiny step forward. So Michael sent me this earlier. It's a TikTok of somebody saying, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's, the Wakandan, the all-female Wakandan like soldiers that have the spears that are like total badasses.
Like Stoma Maje or something like that.
Dora Milaje.
Milaje. It's them. There was a plus size one of their group at Disneyland as part of the official cast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. So we can maybe share that. It is a TikTok. Be warned. It may take you to TikTok if you watch it.
And then it'll be on Instagram soon enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
Once you go to TikTok, you never come back.
Once you pop.
I'm always on TikTok, but they call it Instagram.
Yeah. It's a tough time, but we're seeing examples of really how you can make positive change, regardless of if you've already had a win and like, okay, how can I build on this? Or if you are being confronted with loss or kind of just like downers, which we're kind of used to. I think these are great examples. I would be curious to know if we have listeners who have had kind of a similar experience of like, this backtrack where it's like, I thought I was going to win and I lost, or I did win and here's how I built on that.
Or turned a loss into a win.
Yeah.
So I don't let us know. Or if even maybe you have something where you're like, I have this thing and I don't know how to spin this, how to change this, how to fix this. And maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah.
We can work it out on air. We can
That'd be great.
Find some relevant TikToks.
One of the important things about this conversation is that it's easy to focus on how things are getting worse.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you take a step back and look at things in sort of like the larger arc of history, I think we can take some reassurance that so many of the things that we do value have been on a path of advancement for quite some time. And it falls to us to just make sure that it keeps moving in that direction and that we don't focus on the way in the areas where we have not improved as much as we wish.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say my tip this week is to come to the self-care and share.
October 9th. It's a week and a half, I think.
Yeah.
From the launch of this episode.
October 9th, noon Pacific time.
Or no, 2.5. 1.5. It's a while away.
It's on October 9th.
It's on October 9th.
It's that far away.
Do we have a bit?
We do have a bit.
Just
now,
a bit.
our bit may feel like a bit of a tangent because I think I might have misunderstood the assignment for this week. And I thought we were talking about just a general way that the world has improved. So one of the things that I feel like the world has improved about is our attitudes towards kink, right? I feel like we're much more open-minded about it now. I feel like we're much more... Like the concept of being accepting of kink is a little weird now because like, why do I have to be accepting of your kink? It's your kink.
Well,
like,
I can promise you.
My opinion has nothing to do with it.
I can promise you that growing up, I never heard the term "don't kink shame."
Exactly.
Of course, you must kink shame. That's the job of kink is to be shamed.
Also, I mean,
That's what makes it hot.
vor kind of being like a mainstream thing that people know. It's more for I feel like if you're extremely online, but like the fact that like people on Twitter know what vor is just kind of as a default. If you don't know what vor is, I'm gonna let you Google that one yourself.
Well, no,
It's not that shocking.
I can I can tell you that when I was growing up, there was this thing called alternative sexuality. And that was a label in the bookstore. And there was only one kink in the entire world, and it was leather BDSM. It was one thing, leather BDSM. And that was the section of the bookstore. And if you said kink, that's what you had to mean because there were no other kinks. And now it's like, oh my God, this is a whole panoply. This is a whole pantheon of kink.
Yeah, I mean, like throw a rock, you're going to find someone that's into pup play nowadays.
Or into
like,
being hit with rocks.
And yes.
Or
how
sweet.
I met my ex.
Or dead cat swinging.
So, since the world has gotten so much more understanding of what kink is and how kinks are, here are some questions about various kinks that we may not have heard of before.
All right, hit us.
Which of the following jungle-themed events would a taphophile most likely enjoy?
Taffy.
1. Sinking in quicksand. 2. Being thrown into the air by an elephant. 3. Swinging from a vine. Or 4. Wrestling with an extremely dominant gorilla.
See, that sounds most like taffy.
I don't know.
That's
the
what you would be
elephant-
after wrestling with an extremely large gorilla.
So I'm
Just getting thrown into the air by an elephant just sounds fun.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Never done it, have you?
No, because they'll catch you. Elephants are very kind.
Yes.
I'm gonna
I want
say
to live in Michael's world. It seems like such a happy place.
Where the elephants throw you in the air.
And then catch you.
I'm gonna say taphophile because
That's the thing we're guessing what it is.
Which
oh
of
no,
these things?
sorry, the quicksand.
The
Quicksand?
Okay.
Because why?
So there is like a whole thing. If you spend enough time on YouTube,
Which you do.
like you will find channels of like things from cartoons where it's like every
Oh,
clip
yeah.
of someone. There was one I found. It was like people being turned to stone, and it was like that was
Okay.
all the YouTube channels, like different every cartoon from like the 80s and 90s where a character got turned into stone.
And nobody does that. Nobody does that kind of research without them being aroused.
Yeah, so I'm and like quicksand is like such a tropey thing.
Yeah,
like especially
that
in
makes sense.
cartoons. So I feel like it's that.
I'm guessing elephants because I want that to be that sounds the most fun to me.
Where's the elephant swinging? How's it holding on to you?
Oh no, it's the trunk. Like the trunk sort of like curls around you and picks
Yeah.
you up and then throws you up in the air.
See, I was
Yeah,
guessing.
but is it around your like midsection?
Um,
Oh God. I was thinking the
Where
tusks.
are we going with this,
The
Trevor?
tusks. The tusks obviate all the.
Are you
mechanics.
suggesting that Michael might like a trunk job?
Dan, what's your guess?
I don't understand that.
I'm sure a nose job must be a fetish somewhere.
Dan, what's your guess?
I'm gonna go. Oh, vine.
Swinging
No, wait,
from a
oh, the
vine.
gorilla, because that's taffy.
Gorilla.
The gorilla's taffy-like.
Okay.
Because if you were pulled up by a gorilla, that'd be like being in a taffy machine.
Well, taphophile or taphophilia is a interest in being buried.
Oh my.
So quicksand is the
Damn
thing
it.
that most closely aligns with that.
Why don't we listen to Trevor?
All right. Next question. Which of the following superheroes would a spectrophiliac most like to bang? 1. Spider-Man. 2. She-Hulk. 3. The Invisible Woman. Or 4. Ant-Man.
I'm going with
Invisible Woman.
Yeah, Invisible
Spectra.
Woman.
I'm guessing Spectra has to do with light or light bending.
All right.
Or being able to see.
You are correct. The Invisible Woman. Spectrophiliacs are riled up by the idea of doing a ghost.
Oh, Spectra as in Phantasma. Okay, yeah.
Spectral.
Yeah.
So so for Trevor's YouTube channel, that scene from Ghostbusters, where the dream. It's the dream, but the ghost is giving him a blowjob in the dream, which is weird.
They apparently retroed that for the movie. It was in order to keep the joke, they added the fact that it was a dream.
Oh, I see.
It was from another scene that was cut from the movie, apparently.
Oh, wonder
Okay.
why.
This is the one I don't want to do. Okay, how do I say this word? Where would a catatronophiliac most want to make whoopee?
Catatronophilia. Heck.
How do you do that?
Catatronophiliac.
This is the kid who can't pronounce Bethesda.
I can now.
All right. Where would where would they want to make whoopee? 1. Inside a funhouse. 2. On top of a Ferris wheel. 3. Riding the merry-go-round. Or 4. Behind the fried dough stand.
Oh dear.
I mean, fried dough.
No. It's someone else's fetish.
But what if I've just learned the word?
Michael's like, I have a whole new understanding of my sexuality now.
Yeah, dough. I'm for the. Yeah, I get the dough.
Michael,
That's
you
good.
keep gluten free.
Dough is
Oh,
good.
that's what makes it naughty.
That's exactly right.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Oh, he's a gluteniac.
I'm gonna say Ferris wheel because I have no real clue.
And I'm stupid, so I'll agree with Michael.
I'm also
Let's
gonna
go down
say,
together.
Yay!
I'm gonna say Ferris wheel because I feel
wow.
like
All right.
I guess I'm not stupid.
It's the blind leading the
because people
blind.
do. I feel like people that is like a thing people do is like
3
fool
blind
around.
mice.
on a merry-go-round.
Well, catatronophilia is a fetish for mirrors.
Oh,
So
shit.
the closest match for that one is inside a funhouse.
Or there can be mirrors on a Ferris wheel.
Or you bring your own.
Trevor's never on the Ferris wheel without its compact.
Have you ever? It's a hand mirror. You ever had a mirror job before? Oh, buckle up.
I'd like to reflect
Sounds
on
like it
Just
could be a
keep going.
scratchy
Just-
situation.
Just
All
keep
right.
going.
What would a hobophiliac most like to do on a hot date? 1, have sex in their partner's bathroom. 2, have sex in the kitchen of the home they just bought for their partner. 3, have sex in an alley by a burning trash can, or 4, get gangbanged by hobgoblins?
Oh my God.
I just love the hobgoblin. You know,
I
I don't
want
get
it to
enough
be-
love.
I want it to be
You
hobgoblins.
missed the opportunity to call them knobgoblins.
Oh, good job.
Oh.
I think I'm getting to Michael.
No, because that was really good.
Oh, got him.
Oh,
Well, I would like for it to
That
be.
means 4.
Well, I would like for it to be hobgoblins.
I want it-
I'm going to go with the trash can hobo thing.
Yeah,
Trash can.
that I think it's just the most direct translation. Trash can hobo.
I'm going with hobgoblin because I like saying the word.
All right.
I mean, gobhoblin.
Or knobgoblin. I
Knobgoblin.
swear to God, I'm using that.
That's
Hobophilia is about sexual fantasies about hobgoblins. No.
Damn it.
It's about sexual fantasies with homeless people.
Oh, dear.
So, yes,
You're right.
Burning trash can in an alley. The other references all have to do with being in someone's home.
Mm-hmm.
So, there
I think
you go.
Trevor won that one. Shocking surprise.
So it's not a knobgoblin?
So,
It could
if
be
you
whatever you
have
want it
a
to be.
story about your knobgoblin fetish, where should they tell us about that, Trevor?
Well, we're on Twitter and Instagram as @knobgobbler.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
No. At Big Fat Gay Pod, Instagram and Twitter. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. We're on Patreon as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Subscribe and see our knobgobbler content. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com. Well, maybe you're finishing up listening to the Big Fat Gay Knobgobbler podcast.
I swear it's a new Marvel superhero.
A knobgoblin.
Or super villain.
And there's a bunch of hobgoblins waiting outside your car.
Oh,
And
no.
They're ready to gobble some hobs and knobs. So
Watch out.